Not only are you ugly, but you smell bad too. Here we are, 5th Street. Kinda near South Street. We're going to be doing a scoot in just a second or two. I want to check out the art here on Passyunk. Hello. We got new art here. Be the angel, be the love. Isn't that nice? This is, I guess this is one of the spots where people stand and do the Instagram thing. I got, what the hell's going on here? Oh. Huh. God is love, it says here. Okay. I like the pavement. It's slippery though. You see this pavement? It's like regular pavement, and then they have like this weird cover. There's a old-time hardware store. Here's a restaurant that's very convenient for people to walk through. Could you imagine eating dinner and just have people walking in between you? There it is. Passyunk and South. Avenue of the Roots, they call it. If you're not doing anything on Sunday, Crash Bang Boom is having their 17th anniversary. Crash Bang Boom is a store that's owned by the people who used to own Zipperheads, which is just down the street here. Zipperhead closed, I guess, 17 years ago. The rent just got too damn high. So they moved out of the South Street location, moved around the corner, and they opened up Crash Bang Boom. And on Saturday or Sunday, they're having a very big block party featuring a lot of punk rock bands. I'm thinking I'm going to be there. It depends on the weather. That is called a yarn bomb. People crochet a big piece of art, and then they glue it to a building. And that's that will stay there for a few years. It will start to fall apart, and then they'll take it down. This used to be, oh my God, I forgot about this store until I made a video recently about South Street, and somebody said, yo, you didn't mention 812. So you heard of 7-Eleven? Well, this used to be 8 to 12. And it was a convenience store. Now, if you don't know, 7-Eleven is called 7-Eleven because their hours used to be 7 a.m. to 11. Now, the majority of them are open 24 hours. This store here was open from 8 to 12. So their name of their store was 8 to 12. They were sued by 7-Eleven. You believe that? This is like one of those game stores where if you want to play Dungeons and Dragons, you go in there and you make friends. That's what they do now. These Dungeons and Dragons people, they, you know, they didn't have friends in the 80s. Now, because of the internet, they all hang out, and they got these stores for Dungeons and Dragon people. Oh, let's not talk about Dungeons and Dragon people. Let's talk 8 to 12. So yeah, 7-Eleven would go by and take pictures. There was an article in the Philadelphia Daily News about this. So they were open for a while. It was just a regular convenience store. It was just called 8 to 12. Kind of funny. But 7-Eleven didn't like it. I think 8 to 12 won that lawsuit. They're like, but it's not the same thing. This is work from Joseph Isaiah. Oh, Isaiah is in this because Isaiah is the artist who made this. Isaiah Zargard is the artist. And if you look at the pictures, each one of these murals tells a different story. But and usually if you read the writings, they'll tell you all wars on planet Earth. There's something going on. End it. All wars on the planet Earth. So I don't know, 2338. But there's his name. You very rarely see his name. All right. Uh-oh. What's that mean? Who knows? I do know a rainstorm's coming, so we ain't got time to pick apart every little thing. Let's just get going. Let's just get going. What are we doing? We got 2 bars of battery left. We got about $1,000 worth of electronics, and it's about to rain. None of this works. None of this equates. Oh, there they are, the parking authority. Spoiler of fun to the tourists of Philadelphia. This is St. Peter's graveyard. One of the best cemeteries in the city to go walking around in. The best thing about this cemetery is they have an audio tour that you can take for free. You just you call the phone numbers, they'll tell you what's going on. It's an amazing cemetery. I've made detailed videos in this cemetery, so if you want to look it up, just go Google Philly Captain St. Peter's Graveyard. Benjamin Rush is here. Charles Wilson Peel is here. John Nixon, who was the first sheriff of the city of Philadelphia. It was the first person to read. Oh, no, John Nixon's buried in the cemetery next door. John Nixon's buried. No, ignore everything I just said, but pay attention to the first thing I said. This is Charles Wilson Peel. Charles Wilson Peel, if you ever been to the Pennsylvania Academy of Fine Arts, I'm almost certain he started that. Charles Wilson Peel he painted so many portraits of anybody who was a who's who. Back then, Charles Wilson Peel was probably the portrait artist who painted it. This thing here, this headstone, was made by a guy named Robert Strickland. Now, you may not know Robert Strickland, but you do know the Independence Hall. If you ever seen Independence Hall, he built the steeple to Independence Hall, and he also, I think, he handmade that little urn. So John Nixon was the first sheriff of the city of Philadelphia, right? And back in 1776, it was his job to read the proclamations. So the first person to ever read the Declaration of Independence out loud was John Nixon. And it turns out John Nixon was like the great-great-great-grandson of Richard Nixon. John Nixon, right here. There's his grave. 1808 is when he passed away. Benjamin Chew, big-time lawyer, founding father guy. Benjamin Chew's buried here. His grandson is buried here. And if you look at this headstone, that headstone looks like that church steeple. 3, 2, 1. And that's because his headstone looks like that. It's because he paid for that steeple to get put up there. Really cool headstones in this graveyard. It's a graveyard. If it's attached to a church, it's a graveyard. If it's by itself, it's a cemetery. And then every time I go here, I got to point out this guy. I didn't mean to call. He's not a jerk. But the people in the city named after where he lives, they're jerks. This is the grave of the 14th Vice President of the United States, former mayor of the city of Philadelphia. His name, I think George, right? George Mifflin. His last name, Dallas. The city of Dallas is named after this guy, the 14th Vice President of the United States. I believe he was the Vice President under Polk, who served only one term as president. Okay, I just saw a raindrop. This is the smallest, the Thaddeus Kosciuszko. Oh, I can't say the name. That's why I never talk about it. But this is the smallest building in all of America that is run by the federal park system. This guy was serving in the military during the American Revolution. He was a native of Poland. He wanted to help the Americans beat the British, because what he was going to do was take all the information he learned from the American Revolutionary War, go to Poland, kick some ass in Poland, and free Poland. He didn't get around to doing that. There it is, Flemish Pond. You see a brickwork like this? You see this? This is a header, that's a stacker. What they do is they would get these bricks and they would bake them, and they would get this black glaze. You see these around. It's really expensive to make Flemish Pond. brick buildings, and there's no way, not many buildings get Flemish bond these days, especially authentic Flemish. It's just too expensive. Around here, the greatest railings. These are so sturdy. These are the greatest railings in the state of Pennsylvania. If you come to the old historic district, there's railings. It's just, you can walk around and just look at the railings. If if you're a goofball like me, if you have nothing else to do and you want to do something cool, I like to walk around and I look at the knockers and the railings and the brickwork. And let me look at this pineapple. Oh, it's not sturdy. This is called Society Hill. Is this Society Hill? Yeah, it's Society Hill. Pretty cool spot in the city. It's the first space in the United States of America to be gentrified. Oh, look at this. And this is what it looked like way back when. None of it's the same. You see this house here? This is the shed to that house. You're not allowed to build or expand your property unless you have like mailing, unless you can get mail sent to that structure. So you see what this guy did is he put a mailbox on his shed, so he could build that shed. So that was his get around. Just trying to beat that storm that's directly ahead of us. This is the Powell House. You can tour this house if you're ever in this area. It's pretty cool. This is where the former mayor of Philadelphia lived. Samuel Powell, his wife Elizabeth Powell, was very good friends. Well, they were both good friends with the Washingtons. Samuel Powell, Elizabeth Powell, they lived here. It is in this building where Sarah Powell kind of talked George Washington for running for his second term as president. So if you look up these steps, see how they're all, I love this part of Philadelphia. You see how the steps are like worn and beaten down? That's because these steps are as old as our country. They're older than our country. Ben Franklin, George Washington, John Adams, they all came here to this house. Up there on the second floor is kind of the entertaining room, and that's where George Washington and Martha Washington spent their 25th wedding anniversary. George Washington stayed for a little bit. This is a giddy up. That's actually not the technical name. That's what I call them. You hop on your giddy up. So if you want to get on your horse, right? You want to get on your horse, you get up here, and that's kind of like a boost. And then you stepped on the horse. That's all. So this is the Merchant Exchange Building. This is a cobblestone street. So these are like rocks from the river that are placed in the ground by horses trotting on them. And then if you go across the street, this is a Belgian block street. So there's a difference between a cobblestone and a Belgian block street. Isn't that exciting? Yeah, but if you get married, there used to be a few buildings people would go to take pictures. The one was the Second Bank of the United States, which is completely covered in a tarp. It's getting renovated. So people come here now to take photos, but so many wedding photographers use this space for photos. Sometimes there's like 4 or 5 wedding parties trying to get a spot to take pictures. So yeah, the park rangers use this space as their offices. All right. And this is the first bank of the United States. Queen Elizabeth, Prince Philip, on 1976, they spent the day on this street. They gave the city of Philadelphia a bell. And it was, the 200th anniversary of America, and it was to help, you know, it was her celebrating the fact that we broke up with her great-great-grandfather, or great-great-great-grandfather. That eagle is the first time the American government put an eagle on any building in the United States. Let me see, is Carpenter Hall open? So this building's getting renovated. Everything around this area, actually a lot of it's getting renovated for 2026. That's the quincentennial of the United States of America. So this building here is called Carpenter's Hall, and this is where the First Continental Congress met to write a letter to King George saying, "Yo, we want you to stop with the taxes." John Hancock, George Washington, Alexander Hamilton, just to name a few, Henry Lee. And in this room, there was a guy, I think it was Henry Lee, who said it. He said, "Listen, you could be a Virginian, you could be a Pennsylvanian, but guess what I am? I'm an American, cuz. I'm a straight American, and we're going to unite these colonies, and we're going to have a good time." I don't think that's exactly what he said, but it's very close. This is where Ben Franklin lived when he lived in Philadelphia. Is this open? Oh, please be open. Damn it. That's the Ben Franklin Museum. It's $5 if you ever come to Philly. You want to go. It's a very tiny museum. It's okay. You don't have to do it. So this is where Ben Franklin lived. I'm going to show you something historical. Look at this. A privy pit is where people would dump their doo-doo and pee-pee. So this was the privy pit for Ben Franklin's house. So what this means is that's sort of Ben Franklin's toilet. Huh? Ain't nobody talking about that. So Ben Franklin's house got knocked down in let's say the 1810s. His kids needed the money for the space. But this is about as big. This is what his house would have looked like. Now, because we knocked everything down, what we did, we needed to get tourists to come here in 1976 for the 200th anniversary. So what we did is from what we didn't have, we kind of built. These are called ghost houses. Now this is the stable of Ben Franklin's grandson. Oh, that could be wrong. Did I mention don't go writing book reports off of anything you hear me say? Now, this tunnel, this is pretty cool. Ben Franklin walked through this tunnel. Ben Franklin, I think, designed this tunnel. There is the Be Free Post Office in Old City. This is the only post office in the United States of America that does not fly an American flag in front of it, because when this was the post office, America wasn't a country. So this is the Ben Franklin. Is when Ben Franklin was the Postmaster General. This was the post office. Isn't that something? Yeah, I don't know what time it is, but it shouldn't be this dark. This is 4th Street. This is a new museum. It's called the Museum of Illusions. It's like a selfie. That's a lot of things now are like selfie museums where you can take pictures of you doing goofy stuff. I haven't been there yet. I think it's $10. I'll do it I'll do it after. I like to hit the museums in September. Reason being is you don't take school trips in September, so I hate being around kids. So what I do is I go to the museums in September so I can avoid kids. This is another museum that just opened. It's called the Faith and Liberty Discovery Center. Boy, I don't know. I've never seen anybody in here. So I'm gonna probably check this one out really, maybe this week. There it is. Oh, we're booking. This is Christ Church Burial Ground. 5 signers of the Declaration of Independence. Ooh, could it be more? It might be, could be 6, might be 5, who knows? Oh, they don't have the sign no more. Well, anyway, this is the grave of Ben Franklin. Look at that. Ben Franklin, Deborah Franklin. There's his kids over there, Sarah, Richard, Bache. The guy who started the Philadelphia Zoo's buried here. The first American physician, like the doctors of the founding fathers. The first doctor to study psychiatry in America is buried there. Big time people. This is the United States Mint. Yeah, the Mint's still closed. You can't do a tour in here. Isn't that weird? It's really weird that there's a few museums in this city that still haven't opened up since COVID. Hey, but that dickhead.